What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of F1 Fantasy Pole Position. It is Monday, June 23rd. My name is Ewan, and on today's episode, I'm going to get into my Austrian Grand Prix team selection along with a little preview. You know the drill by now if you have been watching my videos so far this season, and if you are liking what you see in the F1 Fantasy Pole Position paddock, don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like the video. Always helps me out to kind of spread it out, let other people know what I am doing here. But yes, it is finally race week again. Had the week off last week, went to sunny Scotland, question mark, slightly sunny, slightly cloudy, but it was a great time. You can maybe see some of my pictures I put up on X at F1 Fantasy Unit if you want to follow me there. But I'm not going to waste a lot of y'all's time, so we're going to get right into the team selection. But first, I know I said team selection, but first I wanted to say that I'm not really sure what I'm calling this. I'm calling this the mega stream, the mega deadline stream. I've been a little slacking on my end with the deadline streams the past couple of races. So because y'all have been so supportive of me the entire season so far through the first 10, 11 races of the season, I wanted to do something for y'all, hopefully. And yeah, a massive deadline stream. So as soon as FP3 finishes, I will be going live on YouTube from the end of FP3 all the way through qualifying. We're going to do a mega deadline stream and we're going to do a quali watch along. So 1:30 p.m. local time, 12:30 p.m. UK time, 7:30 a.m. Eastern. I will be on YouTube for, I think, about 3.5 hours. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how this all goes, but hopefully you can join me there on Saturday for all of the Austrian Grand Prix action. It's going to be a big one. 3.5 hours at least, I think. So looking forward to that a lot. So hopefully you can join me there. All right, so actually going over to the Austrian Grand Prix preview here, Red Bull Ring, 10 corners, 71 laps, 3 DRS zones. Over the last 3 seasons, it's 6th for overtakes, 4 DNFs in total, 1.3 average. It has had some sprint races. I didn't include those because I'm not trying to throw off the numbers there. And the 2024 podium was Russell, Piastri, Sainz. If you remember that Lando Norris and Max Verstappen kind of got into a bit of a squabble there in turn 3. Is that what they're calling it? Turn 3. And so Lando did not end up finishing the race. He lost a bunch of positions, but he won driver of the day. I don't remember if anyone remembers that. And Max finished 5th. Or something. But yeah, that was kind of the controversy around the Red Bull Ring last year. Long straights, not a lot of twisty, windy corners. So it'll be interesting to see how teams set up for this. Pirelli preview, they brought the C3, the C4, the C5 in 2024, and they are doing the same thing in 2025. So teams should know how it's all going around here, but will be interesting to see how Friday practices go. As for the weather, it's going to be hot. It's going to be hot and it's going to be sunny. 28 degrees Celsius on Friday, 29 degrees Celsius on Saturday, and 31 degrees Celsius on Sunday. There is a chance of rain early on Friday morning, but the weather forecast said that was going to get out of the way by the time free practice 1 and free practice 2 came along. So we shouldn't have anything to worry about. It should be a nice dry weekend in Spielberg, Austria, around the Red Bull Ring. So that will be nice to get some pretty good data kind of stuff that we can interpret and make decisions for our F1 fantasy squads. Shout out here to F1 Fantasy Fuel. They pointed this out over the weekend. Teams with 120.3 million in budget can now afford this. We're going to see some big budget teams running 2 premium driver lineups and moving up the global leaderboards soon. So on the screen here, if you're listening on the podcast side, I've got his screenshot, which is Piastri, Russell, Gasly, Alonso, Bortoleto, McLaren, and Mercedes. I'm not even sure if you would even need to run Gasly right now, but that's a great point by F1 Fantasy Fuel. You should go follow them on X. And that kind of got me thinking about getting a little bit different because right now I don't have Fernando Alonso in my squad. So I am probably bringing him in. I have 3 free transfers for Austria, but the teams that went on Fernando Alonso last week who were like, okay, I think he's going to get some points. I'm not expecting a budget rise. They got the budget rise. And so they are kind of ahead of the game. So I was kind of thinking, who are some candidates that could sneakily rise this week that are a little bit differential. So I've got Alonso and Hulkenberg on the screen here, along with the requirements for the 0.2 million price rise and the 0.6 million price rise. So Alonso, Hulkenberg, Sainz, Ocon, Gasly, and Tsunoda. So those are in order of where they are picked in the global top 500. So right now, Alonso's at 69.8%, Hulkenberg's 57.4%. Those are the only two drivers above 30% in global top 500 teams right now. Sainz at 29.8, Ocon 6.4, Gasly 3.8, and Tsunoda 0.2. And I gotta say, Red Bull's usually quite strong around the Red Bull ring, and my eye is starting to wander over a little bit to Yuki Tsunoda. He hasn't shown a lot of form, but 13 points for a 0.2 million price rise, 25 points for a 0.6 million rise. I don't know. That's a little bit out there for me, but he is in 0.2% of teams, and he's exactly the kind of candidate that we are looking for in F1 Fact to kind of get ahead of the field. So Hulkenberg was the easy transfer for Canada last week. Alonso is going to be the easy transfer for Austria this next week, but trying to find that next candidate to kind of build a little bit of a jump over the field. Sainz, Ocon, Gasly. Gasly will be very popular as well. He needs 0 points for 0.2 million rise and 5 points for 0.6 million rise. The only problem is that Pierre Gasly has turned into the ultimate F1 fantasy troll this season, as pointed out by Formula Fantasy Hub. He has gone down 0.6 million in every single race this season, so he keeps falling and falling and falling and falling. And just when we get ready to trust him again, he breaks our hearts. So I do have a little bit of apprehension when it comes to Pierre Gasly. 0 points for that 0.2 rise, but he seems to get DNFs at very inopportune times, so we'll have to watch out for that. Sainz and Ocon also here. Sainz needs 3 points for a 0.2 million price rise and 10 points for a 0.6 million rise. With the long straights, you'd think that Williams should be pretty decent here. We'll see how they go on Friday. That's usually a pretty good indicator of how they'll do over the weekend. And Ocon here, 8 points for a 0.2 million rise, 15 points for a 0.6 million rise. So while people may not be on him, but 6.4%, pretty good differential in the global top 500. You can find all this stuff on f1fantasytools.com. And if you want to sign up for the premium product, don't forget to use promo code EWIN50 to get 50% off your first month. But yeah, so Alonso, Hulkenberg, they'll be very popular. Some people went with Alonso because they were going up to Lando in Canada. And some of us, like myself, went just to Hulkenberg and rolled the transfer. So I think the people that don't have Alonso are going to go Alonso. The people that don't have Hulkenberg are going to go with Hulkenberg, because Alonso is negative 22 points for a 0.2 million rise and negative 17 points for a 0.6 million rise, whereas Hulkenberg is negative 27 points for a 0.2 million rise and negative 21 points for a 0.6 million rise. So those guys should be good for a 0.6 million rise. That will be handy dandy for most of us trying to gain budget. But like I said, they're not fantastic differentials anymore in the global top 500. 69.8% for Alonso, 57.4% for Hulkenberg. So trying to find these differential assets, Sainz, Ocon, Gasly, and maybe taking a gamble on Tsunoda. 0.2% of the global top 500 have him. 13 points for a 0.2 million price rise and 25 points for a 0.6 million price rise. Is kind of like piquing my interest a tiny bit if we see something from Tsunoda around the Red Bull ring on Friday and early Saturday practice. But enough of the storylines. Let's just get into how my team is looking to set up around the Red Bull ring. So here is the T1 squad right now after the Canadian Grand Prix. I stuck with Piastri and Lawson and Colapinto and Hadjar. I only brought in Nico Hulkenberg for Gabriel Bortoleto. McLaren and Ferrari stuck around as well. So I have 3 free transfers, as you can see here in the top right-hand corner. And yeah, so Fernando Alonso has to come in. I think I'm going to get rid of Franco Colapinto for right now. We can go over to the budget builder, just double check. 5 points or 9 points, depending on how Alpine looks. But considering you can get Pierre Gasly, who I value far more than Franco Colapinto in an Alpine right now, I'd rather go with Gasly, but maybe not worth a transfer there just to flip-flop them. But Alonso's coming in for sure. That leaves me 3.4 million in the bank. I'm going to have to get rid of Liam Lawson as well. So that will leave me with 8.2, which is enough to get to Esteban Ocon, which is nice. That's kind of a differential that I was talking about. 0.1 million short of Carlos Sainz is pretty frustrating. But those could be like 2 free transfers I use there, and I could kind of continue to roll, just depending on how Haas look. Alonso Hulkenberg gets me the 0.6 million price rise. We go back to the budget builder. Hadjar with 2 and 8. I didn't even include him on the getting different because if we go to the elite data, you can see that Isaac Hadjar is in 89% of the global top 500 and 86.7%. Actually fell last week by 2.2. I guess maybe people were trying to fit in Lando and go to Alonso there. So yeah, these are kind of like the kind of boring moves I could make. However, I was looking a little bit earlier this morning, and if you go back to the budget builder, which we will do right here, you can see that Kick, they've been crushing it. They keep rising zero, like they were at 4.5 and now they're at 6.9. You've gained 2.4 million in budget if you've just somehow been rolling with Kick with 52 points, 26 points. Like those are phenomenal numbers. A double DSQ in both qualifying and the race is pretty much the only way they will not rise 0.6 million. So that's kind of handy. And there is a world where I can use all 3 of my transfers and go with McLaren, Kick Sauber, and then a Max Verstappen, Oscar Piastri, kind of 2-headed monster over here. Now, I know Max fell last week and needs 33 points for a 0.1 rise and 60 points for a 0.3 rise. So not ideal, but Red Bull, kind of a stronghold around here. Red Bull Ring, been very, very strong around here in previous seasons. This is a little bit of a differential lineup. It's kind of got me going with the 3 budget builders down here, Alonso, Hulkenberg, Hadjar, who have been scoring fantastic points. In fact, F1 Fantasy Rob pointed this out, Formula Fantasy Hub, sorry, Rob, pointed this out earlier or last week. If you go to the last 2 races and sort by average points, Nico Hulkenberg is 3rd behind Oscar Piastri. That is absurd. And George Russell. Verstappen, Leclerc, Alonso's there too. Hadjar he scored 1 point in Canada. He got the job done. He did what we needed him to do. But Hulkenberg and Alonso there in the top 6. Those are fantastic results. I'm not entirely sure if you added Monaco. I mean, Alonso there. But yeah, Hulkenberg still kind of settling up here in the top 7 of the average, even with a -2 in Monaco. So you could be getting some points and you're going to get 0.6 million rise in budget. You should get 0.6 million rise in Hadjar, 0.6 there. So that's 2.4, 0.3, should be a 0.3 for Oscar. Yeah, 24 points. That's more than doable. So that's 3 million rise there. Differential could be a little bit risky in the points department, but I'm really worried about that whole F1 Fantasy Fuel tweet that he had about the 120.3 million that you need to get the double premium driver. I guess you don't really need all of that because you can still do bottom of the barrel stuff with like going with Colapinto as well. But there is part of me that's like, scoring points is great. I've made a great rank rise. I'm up to 16K now. I had kind of a green arrow after Canada, but I'm going to have to take my licks at some point. And with Austria being 6th for overtakes, the back markers can score adequate points to make up the gap. Kick Sauber, Gabby Bortz, Nico Hulkenberg. We could be looking at another, like Sauber is not even doing that poorly. 13, 7, 4, 52, and 26. We'll go back to the statistics page here. Since when was that they started to rise? Saudi Arabia. Let's go back to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, Miami, Imola. And then we go here. They are 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th highest scoring constructor in the game. Now, 52 points in Spain. Not going to rely on that all the time. If we take Spain out of it, like they fall down a bit, but you're still getting one of the best values in the game that's going to rise 0.6 million in budget this week, which is pretty handy dandy. There was part of me like a few races ago that was thinking about Kick, And there's been people who ask me every week on X in the comments here, like, should I go kick? Should I go kick? And I'm just like so afraid of their kind of DNF, like back markers, like tend to have more trouble than the front of the field. However, the Mercedes power unit seems to be a little bit on the fritz after what we've seen the last few races here with like Albon and Antonelli and stuff like that. So we need to watch out for it. But because Kick Sauber negative 53 points for a 0.6 price rise, it's not bad. Now, is Piastri Verstappen the way to go? Maybe, but I can't get up to Lando. I'm 0.6 million short. But if you could go like triple McLaren with double kick, I don't mind that either. Some people have been on triple McLaren, triple kick for a quick minute now, and they're probably thriving. So that is an alternative lineup that is kind of thinking about. If we go with the Tsunoda route that I was talking about here, 17.2 million, that leaves me enough money to, I just miss out on Mercedes. So that would, I miss out on Mercedes by 0.6 million. So I'd have to go back from Frank Colapinto to Gabby Bortz. And then this is also another route I could take. But with it being hot, I know Mercedes have put some updates on their car and Canada went well, but it was cooler and overtaking was hard. Russell and Antonelli had a great race, but Austria is like a whole other kettle of fish there in the heat and like long straights and stuff like that. So this is also another lineup. If I was thinking about getting differential, I don't think this has as much budget building upside just because Tsunoda is a lot riskier than Alonso, obviously. But if we were looking for that differential who could maybe gain 0.6 million on the field before everyone kind of has to jump on Yuki Tsunoda or something like that, this could be a route I take. However, it's 7:40 a.m. Monday, June 23rd here in Germany. This will go out in a few hours. And I think if I was kind of going with the safe route, it would look like a little bit of a bring in Fernando Alonso and just kind of who looks best in practice. But yeah, S1 Ocon could be here. Pierre Gasly could come in as well, but we will see. Pierre Gasly is probably the safer option, but it is what it is. He's been a kind of F1 fantasy troll for a lot of us this year. Monaco, Saudi Arabia. See this? Like right, and China, like right as that DNF drops off, another DNF. Right as that DNF drops off, another DNF. So what is it? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So kind of tough to trust Pierre Gasly there. But yeah, let me know your lineup conundrums, your thoughts, your concerns in the comments below. And yeah, we will talk them together, or you can hit me up on X at F1 Fantasy Ewan. So that'll do it for today's episode of F1 Fantasy Pole Position. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Don't forget the mega deadline stream that is happening on Saturday, but there will be a transfer targets episode coming out on Wednesday. There will be a Q&A stream on Thursday night, along with a F1 movie review, because I'm going to go see that on Wednesday. That's why the Q&A stream is not on Wednesday. I'll be watching the new F1 or the F1 movie, whatever we're calling it. So I will let you know my thoughts about Brad Pitt in an F1 car. We'll see how that all goes. But yeah, like I said, if you are liking what you're seeing in the F1 Fantasy Pole Position paddock, don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel or the podcast if you are listening on the audio side. All thoughts and constructive criticism and not so constructive criticism are always appreciated by me. I always try to take some notes and build on those as we move forward. But like I said, thank you for all the support over the first 10 races of this season. So hopefully you guys will enjoy a mega deadline stream on Saturday with yours truly for like 3.5 hours. Hopefully you don't get fed up. But yeah, almost at 3,300 subscribers. So we're looking to get to that by the end of the Austrian Grand Prix. But yeah, like I said, drop the questions in the comments or hit me up on X at F1 Fantasy Ewan. But until Wednesday, once again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And I will talk to you next time.